Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it so very much. Welcome, my name is Aiden. I am so happy that you are here. Today I have 4 palettes for my 4 for 4. These are a little different than ones that I have done before though, because these are all ones that were in my Instagram chopping block series. So if you haven't been following me on Instagram, I went through a lot of my palettes and I'm on my second one now. So I went through and I pulled out like 36 palettes, I think, that just were not inspiring or ones that I never really reached for or that felt kind of, they were a little intimidating is the right word. So I pulled those out and I slowly worked my way through all of those, and the ones that I liked on that initial try I put it aside and I said, you know, they're going to go into a 4 for 4. So this is the first one of that. I just started a second one, so you can see some of those next palettes that are coming up, but it's kind of been a balancing act, trying to test out all these ones that I'm not quite sure about on the chopping block, and then also, you know, doing 4 for 4s not only for ones that I'm considering decluttering, but also for ones that are just part of my regular collection. So the 4 palettes that I have today is, the first one is the Stila Eyes Are the Window Shadow Palette, and this is the Spirit one. I'll show you it really fast. This has a very, doesn't want to stay up very well. So that's that first one. Then we have a Juvia's Place. This is the Saharan by Juvia's, and that's what it looks like. Then we have Voss Like A Boss. I think this might have been her collaboration, I think with Laura Lee. I'm not quite sure. I got this later on. I don't follow a lot of the big YouTubers, as I have said before, but this is what the palette looks like. So more grungy, more neutrally kind of. And then the Lorac Mega Pro 3. And unfortunately, my Z palette got a little bit stained on it, which is annoying because this was sitting under it, and that's what it looks like. So what I do for my 4 for 4s is I wear each one of these palettes for 4 days. I try to use as many different shades within the palette as possible. Obviously with some of these there's a lot that I haven't tried out, and then I come back here and I tell you, I swatch all of the shadows. This one is going to be difficult, the Mega Pro. And then I tell you my thoughts on them, how the shadows performed, and then at the end I will rank them and tell you whether I feel like I'm keeping them or not. Let's start small. So we'll start with the Saharan. This is a pretty palette. There are 12 colors. You know, Saharan, the Juvia's Place palettes are usually this size or they're gigantic, and I'm glad that this is this size because some of the gigantic palettes are a little overwhelming. All right, so that is what all of the shadows look like swatched, and here they are. Next to them, there are some beautiful shades in here. There are some gorgeous shimmers. This shade right here is definitely my favorite. That is the one over here on the very end. I just love that pink. Like, that's just a beautiful shade of pink. I think it's just absolutely gorgeous. Some of the other shimmers are really nice. My main issue with this palette is the number of shimmers versus mattes and the shades of the mattes. So you only have 4 mattes. You have this bright orange, you have like a burnt orange, you have a black, and you have a tan. So I felt it was a little hard unless you were doing a lot of a really shimmery look everywhere. It was really hard. So we have matte here, we have matte here. They're a little more patchy, as you can tell, but the shimmers are definitely standouts. I can see myself, you know, really wearing these 2 over here, you know, the gold one. So I do like the shimmers in here. I wish there was maybe a couple more mattes, not quite as many. Like, I know people really like matte black, but I would have liked something more of a transition shade other than just the orange and like the dark. I don't like the dark colors. That's my personal preference though. So that is the Saharan by Juvia's. Let's look at the other small palette. This is Stila. This is, like I said, Eyes Are the Window Shadow Palette, and in the shade Spirit. There are several of them. There's like Spirit and Water, and I don't even remember what they all are. I had most of them. I got these like a really great deal. They were like 60% off or something, and I've just never really worn them. So as you can see, there are once again 12 shades in here, arranged just a little bit different and definitely more of a muted type palette. All right, these are definitely much more muted tones and shadows than the Juvias. The Juvias have some of the most vibrant shadows that I have seen, but as you can see here, that's not really the case with the Stila. There are some beautiful shimmers. I do really enjoy the shimmers, but some of the more satins, like if you want satins, this is a better palette, but I feel like this is just so muted and so quiet that it's hard to make a look, and I tend to like a little bit more on my eyes, somewhat of a punch, not like crazy, but even like the look that I'm wearing today isn't my favorite, hence why I'm wearing a red lipstick to kind of punch up the look. But as you can see, some of the, I'm going to bring it closer so you can see kind of what the textures look like and how they just peter out really fast, but this gives you a better color, true to color, unfortunately. I'm working, I don't know why it's suddenly changed, and the past couple of months have not been as true to color when I get close-ups. So yeah, I like the shimmers, but I don't feel like this is a palette that is worth it for me to keep, because, you know, I like the shimmers, but am I really going to reach in just for this? Because I have some singles that I never reach for either. I think that this is a good palette if you want something very subtle and quiet, but it's not really a palette for me. Okay, we have the Lorac Mega Pro 3. This is a massive palette. There are 32 shades in here. You got, I like how they're arranged so it's like light to dark. First 2 rows are mattes, bottom 2 rows are shimmers. So what I'm going to do, because I don't have enough arm space for 32 shadows, I'm going to do all of the mattes and then I'll come back and do all of the shimmers, because there's just too many shades otherwise. All right, so that is what all of the shadows look like. As you can see, there are some very, very light shades in here that blend in quite well with my skin tone. And this is what they look like next to each other. The black got a little out of hand. It looks a little messy now. Lorac shadows have some of the softest mattes that I have ever used. You want to really kind of go in light and build them up, and it takes a while to get used to them because they're unlike any other formula that I have, but there are a lot, there's quite a good range in here. They're pretty cool toned in nature, so I feel like the lighter ones are a little bit warmer in tone, and then you get some more cooler tones over here, which I think is odd. Like, I would rather have a mix of cool and warm tones between the lights and the darks, but that's what all of the mattes look like, and I will swatch all of the shimmers next. All right, and now we have the shimmers, or the second half of this palette. So as you can see, there are some pretty shimmers in here, but they all don't have like that same reflection of light. These are kind of, I feel like, in between the Juvia's Place and the Stila. These have a little bit more foil to them, but there's not like a ton of foil. So these are more traditional shimmer formula, I feel, not the really in-your-face ones that Juvia's Place has and some other brands that we've kind of become used to. So I feel like there's some pretty ones in here, but this really doesn't pack as much of an impact as some other palettes in my collection. So yeah, that is all of the shimmers in the Lorac Mega Pro 3. All right, the final palette, it's very shiny, isn't it? This is from Violet Voss. This is the Like a Boss palette, and actually on the back it says what the title is much more clearly than on the front, which I thought was a little weird. It does have a gigantic mirror on it, and as you can see, there is a lot of darker shades in here. So you do have some lights in the first 2 rows, and then the rest of them are a little darker. There's kind of a variety. this is a black, which this one is like a dark green type shade, but it looks pretty black on screen right now. So you do have 20 colors in here, so not quite as many as the Lorac, but definitely more than the other two palettes. Okay, so I did mess up a little on my swatches. So the black is the first one you're going to see, but it really should be down here, but I didn't think it would fit very well over there. So as you can see, there's quite a range of shades in here, and you can tell that there are some really gorgeous shiny shimmers in there. They really do catch the light. There were a couple of the mattes, this one and this one, that I went over a couple times. I'm not sure if it's my skin from having being wiped on and off so many times, or if it was the shadow. I didn't feel like it affected how they worked in real life, because those are shades that I definitely used. So this has a pretty good mix of shimmers and mattes. It's about 50-50. There's one more shimmer than there is matte. So you get a kind of a good balance, and it's a pretty neutral toned palette, even though there are those pops of color that kind of throw you off, and the greens in there. But if you kind of cover up this corner, you're going to see that it's a really neutral toned palette. So you do get a really good variety in here. Violet Voss does have one of my favorite formulas. I have several of their palettes, and I really enjoy every palette that I have from them. The quality, not always the color schemes and stuff, but the quality is definitely there. I feel like the mattes, while I would go in softly because they are pretty pigmented, they blend out pretty well, and I really love their shimmers as well. So this is a definite winner in my book. All right, it is time for our final ranking, and also any possible decluttering. Let me know if you can guess which order I'm going to put them in. And also, if you haven't liked or subscribed or commented, please do one or all of those things, because it would really help out. It always helps out small YouTubers. So in fourth place is going to be my Stila Eyes Are the Window Shadow Palette in Spirit. I am going to declutter this. I think this palette might be good. I think I have a friend who might enjoy it, who likes kind of lighter looks and doesn't wear a lot of makeup on the regular basis. So I am going to be decluttering this palette. I love the shimmers. I think the shimmers are really pretty, and they lasted well. The color scheme and how much you have to like build up to get an impact from the shadows, it's just not my style. So it is in fourth place. In third place, I am going to do the Lorac Mega Pro 3, and I'm actually going to declutter this. I am shocked because I remember lusting after these and really wanting them and searching for them and being so excited when I found them. But I don't reach for this. I like the mattes. I think their formula is really nice. The shimmers are not so much my thing. Some of them are really more foiled, and I just really like foiled shimmers at this point. So this one is going to be decluttered. Also, it's just the color scheme. I don't gravitate towards a lot of cool tones. I don't really like cool tones on me personally. So this is one that I will be decluttering. I don't think it's bad quality. It's just not really my style or colors. So yeah, I have other Loracs that are coming up though. So never fear. There are ones that I am keeping and loving. In second place, this was kind of hard, but I decided to put the Juvia's Place Saharan in second place because it has so many shimmers versus mattes. I wish it had a couple more mattes. So I am putting it in second place. I think there are some gorgeous shades. This shade really, this is why I'm keeping this palette, really, is this shade and a little bit of this shade, kind of this one too. But those shades, this one, that one's really pretty too. So I like the shimmers in it. There's shades that I definitely am not going to be wearing. Like I don't really wear this one. I don't really wear this one. So that's why it's in second place, because I feel like there's still enough percentage of the palette that I'm not going to wear, that it doesn't make it my number one. And it will be staying. This one is also staying. This is Violet Voss Like a Boss. I really did think I might declutter this because of the color scheme. It's not my favorite color scheme, but I feel like it's a good standard palette that I can still wear for work. Like I can do really neutral looks and still have like that pop of shimmer. I just really like the formula of the shimmers in here, and I think the mattes are really good too. So those combination of like there's wearable and I can make a cohesive look without too much thought, that's why it squeaked out as the winner. Have you tried any of these palettes? Have you tried any of these brands? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I hope you are all having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I can't wait to talk to you next time. Bye.